And we're back. Somebody takes their games a little seriously. Seriously, I just didn't think that was that scary. But hey, I hope you were entertained during the break. Hold on a second, guys.
Actions? Well, the hat's gone.
Okay.
Yeah. So that game is terrifying.
How is?
No, it is. It is. No, it's just. It's kind of like how's the forest terrifying, but when I first played the forest and I was going in, absolutely terrifying. Like heart racing, I didn't know what to do. I was legitimately scared. And there's a couple of games that have done that. Amnesia was one of them, I think. At least some parts.
Is it just no way? Because what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm playing a video game.
That's not it. You gotta immerse yourself. You gotta be like, okay, I'm gonna turn off all the lights. I'm gonna get my best headphones, or I'm gonna get like a surround sound speaker set. I'm gonna be all alone, or just one person in here. Maybe I'm gonna smoke a little weed or get drunk, and then I'm gonna play this game. And as I play this game, I'm gonna poop my pants. That's how it works.
Is that your goal when you play scary games? It's like, man, I want to poop my pants.
That's it. I just want to be scared. Like, that's the point. I want to play a scary game, I want to be scared. So
Chewy goes hard. Chewy goes hard mode and pops up a couple laxatives.
And I'm the guy that's all for like role playing in video games and cosplaying, and I talked earlier about like how that's what I want to do for Extra Life next year, and to tell me that I have to immerse myself more in the game.
Yeah, in the game. Do you cosplay while you play the game? Like, do you dress up as the main character when you play the game? No. So your cosplay is not going to affect.
You're gonna tell me there's not one person out there who dons his wizard robe. Did you not see what was it? The guys who made Magicka? They released like Magicka bathrobes, and I guarantee there are people that throw that bathrobe on and play.
That's probably a good point. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, my friend always makes fun of me because I learned Dark Elf back when I was playing EverQuest and blah, blah, blah. So every time we're at work or we're talking to a bunch of people, it's like, Chad knows Dark Elf. And I'm like, so whatever. But I've never, like, jumped away from my computer and, like, pulled a wand out and like, said a spell or been like, oh, I have defeated thee, monster. Like, I've never gone that in-depth into things. But trust me, Cameron, you sit in, like... Look what you guys started in chat. You sit in a dark room with no distractions one night, all alone, the house is empty, and you like put that sound system on blast and play Amnesia and tell us you don't get scared. Alright? That is my challenge to you, sir, because just the sounds in that game will creep you out, especially if you're wearing surround sound headphones. They have this like really high-def cockroach sound that you just feel like they're crawling in your ear. It's disturbing. Absolutely.
Yeah, when I did the stream of PT with my friends, we shut off all the lights in our house, and there was a section where it was complete pitch black in the hallway, and we walked up, and the ghost came right at us. On stream, all three of us screamed out. You could hear like just all three of us go, ah!
Okay.
There's a lot. What is going on in chat?
See, this is why I'm afraid to put chat into our show. You know, we were talking about redoing the layout and having chat be listed, because then we're going to have to relive what they said. I mean, chat, I don't want to call them like the unwashed, but they are definitely a group of people that when they get going, it's scary.
Jeez.
Go on. That's what I encourage them to.
Oh man. Yeah. All right, let's do it. We will include chat in future episodes soon. TM. I love that straw, man. Take another drink. See, that's an epic straw.
Yeah, so I roll over here.
All right.
Straws.
Would you like find that on Etsy or something and be like, I have to have that?
7-Eleven. 99 cents.
Not bad.
I got a different one. I just like the one with the curlicues.
Awesome. Well, back to the scary topic, Tamlin.
Well, we left off on weapon. No, I'm not.
Well, you don't want to be scared. Are you afraid of being scared, Tenma? Are you afraid of the dark?
No.
You're supposed to cue the music right there. Do 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 do. I don't know.
I guess I'm just an old video gamer. I don't scare easy. The last time I scared was when I stayed up past my bedtime when I was like 13 playing Final Fantasy when it first came out.
Oh man. Well, during the time, 8-bit graphics, that was the thing. So like, a demon showing up on the screen, that would scare anybody.
No, I made a mistake and I have never repeated it. I named my party in Final Fantasy off of like real life friends and family.
No, God.
So their health would start getting low, and I'd be like, "Gotta keep them alive. Gotta keep them alive. I can't let my uncle die or whatever."
Unless one day he pissed you off, and they're just like, "Let's get rid of him." Yeah. You could name your party members in Oregon Trail too, couldn't you? Like name it your family members. Oh, Chad's uncle died of dysentery.
I named it my friends, and I laughed at when they died of dysentery.
Nice.
I was like,
I got you.
Yeah, look, you died of dysentery.
Maybe you should have fed him better food. All right, it is your fault for this. You were leading him.
I like when they die of the flu or something. I'm like, that's what you get for getting sick. Grow a pair. Let's make it to the Oregon Trail. Gotta go west.
Apparently, Chad doesn't get scared from video games either. Everyone's just like, I don't get scared.
Yeah, I know. Look at all these brave people in chat.
Yeah, until it comes time
they're all like, I don't get scared either. I don't even know what these guys are talking about. Scary games are not scary.
Yeah, and then they're the ones who filmed that video, and it's uploaded. They're the ones screaming or shivering in their pants or have to go change their pants after a couple play sessions. Whatever.
Dude, look, Terry sucks! Boom! What is going on?
Terry Michaels? I don't know another Terry.
I think they mean... Yeah, I think they were talking about Terry.
You have died of dysentery.
Dysentery? Oh, jeez. Oh, that's...
That's fantastic. Oh, man. Good job, Fit Orion. How you?
Yeah, I thought he was talking about Terry Michael. I was like, oh, dude, what?
Oh gosh.
Next time I get the chance, I will try and stream a scary game. But the opportunity of me being at the home in my house alone is pretty slim.
Well, Flatus and I might do a Halloween stream so you can watch us be pansies on Halloween if you're not doing anything. We'll have more details later. But yeah, we will cry like babies. And Talon will laugh there from his iron throne and say, "Oh, these mere mortals."
It's the beard.
It's the beard. It's the man now.
It's the man. Yep. Not.
So, back to EverQuest next, and well, I guess really landmark. Weapons, right? That's where we left off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys want to talk about?
No, I thought we were done. Like, I know that I need to try out the sword a little bit more because I need to see how bad the delay is from
the swing. Is a lot slower, is it not, or is it the same speed?
Well,
slower.
I think it's slower. And my other complaint about it is that it's not a press to swing. You have to click it every time you want to swing. And so, like other times when you're playing, like Smite, for example, you just hold the button down and it just keeps shooting. And it's kind of annoying, and it hurts my wrist after a while of just clicking to do a swing. But I like the fact that it's an AoE sweep, so that if you're using the sword, you put on the heavy plate armor and you just like sweep the whole area in front of you with that sword.
I agree. I think it's cool. I like the battle cry that they kind of added as an extra ability. I think that's a cool ability. Haven't really been able to use it out because once again I've only played with like 4 people and they were never together clumped. But it does seem really cool. One thing I still say that I think is necessary if you're going to do sword combat, and that is collision. I mean, if you're going to make an active system where I'm swinging swords that people don't let me pass through them. No, wait. Can you pass through them?
When you charge,
when you charge, charging will stop. But if I swing my sword, I can run through them, or can I?
Used to be able to. Used to be, and that was one of the things like we suggested is like I think that it's one of those builders whoever is building it, it should be a toggle that they can toggle on, like player collision on off. Because I think that like if you build like a bridge battle, right? Like you have a team over on one side and a team on the other side, and the only way to get from one side to the other is to cross a bridge, then you could turn on character collision and you could just like have, your swordsman duking it out in the front and maybe
that would be fantastic. No, and Age of Conan had collision. I really enjoyed that. I guess PlanetSide 2 doesn't have it either, but you're more interacting at range in that game. And a fantasy game is typically going to be sword and shield with some extra range things. I don't know. Like, I feel it's necessary. Or maybe, like, partially guided abilities. So I can kind of lock on to somebody and have my character kind of follow them a little bit as I try to swing, or more feedback. Do you think that it's too action-oriented the way it is? Like, do you think you'd rather have sort of a quasi action-oriented combat system where it's sort of maybe like in Smite, where I have an ability where I can literally just click onto somebody versus having to swing 24/7, or be able to hold my mouse down and kind of run and let it swing for me, stuff like that?
We haven't gone into the nuances of the difference between Smite and Guild Wars 2 because they're pretty much almost the same system, but I love Smite. I don't know what that nuance is, but Smite is my preferred system. And like Warcraft, Vanguard, then Warcraft, then a whole bunch of other games. And like after I got the chance to feel Guild Wars 2, I was like, it's kind of new. I kind of like it. But after I saw Smite, I'm like, better combat system for me. And even it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's predictable, and yet it's tactical, and yet it is very reflex oriented, right? Like you have to, know when your ultimates are coming up,
right?
Organize those, and that's the combat system that I really see EverQuest Next evolving into.
Yeah, it's such a perfect combination between Twitch gameplay and strategic long-term gameplay. Like literally, if I get into that Twitch situation, if I'm better, I can win. But at the same time, I can make sure I never get into that Twitch situation where I don't have to be better than them. I can just literally out-strategy them, outthink them, plan their attacks, and plan my attacks better. I agree. We have a couple questions, right, Travis?
Strategies? Yeah, we do.
Tragedies?
Tragedy?
My strategy is tragedy. No, anyway.
Jeez.
It always ends with me dying.
Right.
Question 1. This is for Tamlin. Did you fight a water dragon to get that fantastic beard?
You read that one already. And no, I don't. I just decided to stop saving.
Alright. Another question we have. How many minutes should a character survive before dying in a 3v3 PvP?
Less than a minute.
Really?
Yeah, if all three...
A minute is a long time. When you really come to think about it. Like, start counting.
That's huge.
That's like a normal MMO combat system for me. Is like, it takes me a minute to kill a mob. That's because I'm sitting there pressing my 3 button over and over again for a minute. No, I don't know. I think it should take as little as 5 seconds if I'm really good and the strategy's there, or it can take as long as maybe 15, 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think there's a good answer to that because in a 3-on-3, okay, so my 3 teammates, or me and my 2 teammates are focusing down one person, but it depends on, again, does that person have like a defensive cooldown that they can use? Can they escape out of the situation they're in, or are they getting outside heals onto them? But I think that if 3 people all know and target the same person and all like decide that that's the target that they're taking down, it should be, like between 10 seconds... 10 to 15 seconds, 20 seconds at the most, because if you get them in that situation where they're not using defensive cooldowns, they're not getting outside heals, and they're not moving out of range, they should be dying. They should go down.
Yeah. But if they have everything else, like their buttons, their oh shit buttons, and their dodge abilities,
then
still 30 seconds is still a long time. I mean,
yeah, 30 seconds is an eternity in a PvP match.
Yeah, because that's when your adrenaline starts kicking in, and it's like those last minute plays, like, oh man, am I going to do it? Am I going to do it? Usually that's like a minute, 2 second interaction in the game, right?
And I'm thinking like...
minute, 2 second, 1 second, 2 second.
Yeah, in like, what's the cooldown timer on most abilities? It's like a minute or two. You don't like, if you're focusing all your fire on one person, you don't want them to be in your fire so long that your abilities come off cooldown before they die. Like, that's just way too long. And again, like, we're just talking like if they can move out of the combat, if they can use a defensive cooldown strategically, or if they can get outside help, like through, heals or something like that, then they should live longer. But if they're not doing any of those things, then they should die fast. But you don't want to punish them for not being able to react perfectly. Like, you don't want to say you must react perfectly or else you die. But at the same time, it's like, okay, your clock is ticking. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. If you haven't done one of those 3 things I mentioned, you should die.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. All right.
Because if not, I mean, it's just I feel we're moving away from MMOs where someone could take 1,000 hit points of damage and not die. Let's if it's gonna be an action-oriented system, make it an action-oriented death. Make it quick, but strategic at the same time. Before it wasn't strategic because people can move around too much. Now that movement's getting honed in, it's just like the abilities of the combat itself isn't quite there. It takes too long. Like, I could sit there for 30 seconds fighting somebody, and we're pretty much locked in combat the whole time, and we didn't kill each other. That's way too long. It's boring. There's no consequence at all. Any consequence.
Right, and that's where like we're talking about like how the PvP feel in Landmark needs to evolve, is that it needs to get away from just 1v1 or death matches. It needs to do a team death match or objective based PvP, so that you can create those scenarios where you have a 2 on a 3, or if you have like some team dynamics that develop that mean that like the better organized team will win, those sorts of things. Because I love PvP, but in dueling 1v1 and death matches kind of get, I'm not going to say they're boring, because even in a 2v2 there's a little bit of excitement, but that's because you can come to each other's rescue when you get in a bad situation. And that's where you start doing that balancing act, where if one team gets behind a little bit, like, they have to overcome or they continue to fall behind, and eventually you can kill one of them.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said before, I think the boots, shifting it to like an ability for my sprint and things like that, is a step in the right direction, because now for the first time I'm at least having to think of where I am. Am I going to get out of the situation in time? It's starting to add that extra layer to the combat, rather than let me just run in or run out. Now it's let me run in and see if I can get out. And I think more steps towards that direction are good. Maybe if you're going to make an extra third ability, make it sort of like an ultimate ability that does take a while to go off. And when it goes off, it has a good indicator, so I know. There's like no indicators in the game. So if someone's aiming at me, I don't know until it hits me. There's no other way for me to tell. Like the AoE mage spell that goes under your, like, it either hits you or it doesn't. I can't really see where it's going to land or anything like that. There's no pattern on the ground that will appear. I think that could make a huge difference. Smite has that for a lot of abilities, but it's quick. Not a wild star kind of, oh, here's the array and it's going to last for 30 seconds as I attack, but, oh, here's a split second that it appears on the ground. If you don't get out of it, you're screwed. That could be a good step in the right direction, I think, for me.
Yeah,
because that adds more strategy. At least I know what the attack's going to do. I don't even know when a bow's going to hit me. I don't know if the sword's really going to hit me and when it's going to hit me for. There's not enough feedback for me as a player.
I can kind of see that point. I also think that there's a... Like, I can dodge charges, but that was back when the charge was on a cooldown, right? So it was on an.
Now they can just recharge you.
Now they can just continuously charge, but like before they removed the cooldown for it. That was what separated like the truly the top of the top PvPers in Landmark and other games, and then like the mid tier, right? Is that like I could predict most of the time when I was going to get charged. What I failed at most of the time is knowing how to get out of the way, or knowing what to do with that information, or knowing how to react, reacting to it fast enough. I was like, oh, he's going to charge me. What am I going to do? And you get that, and like those expert level players, they're like, okay, he's going to charge me at this moment, and this is the next move. Like that whole chess, like thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. And so, like, I can kind of see the point. Like, you want to have those indicators because you want to have that internal, chess match going on between the different players going on in a tournament where they can be like, okay, these are the type of moves that we can predict coming. And that brings my other point, the cosmetic piece. The cosmetic slot. I don't think that you should have an option as a PvP builder.
Tell what armor they're wearing.
Exactly. In the builder of a PvP match or a PvP, tournament, whatever you want to call it, they should have the ability to turn off cosmetics because the other player should be able to be like, okay, there's the guy wearing a whole lot of armor. Maybe we shouldn't focus him with all of our damage because he'll just sit there and soak it.
Yeah, I agree. I've sort of been against cosmetic slots in any kind of PvP game because it really takes away from the strategy. I think just the point is that it comes down to, there's not enough armor that really looks good for me to wear, and that's why I want a cosmetic slot. But if the armor looks great, why should I worry? But the boots do have an indicator of this already. So even if you are wearing cosmetic, you have a different glowing effect depending on what boots they're wearing. And I think that's fantastic. So if it's Belt of the Zephyr, whatever they call the new boots, I forget. But it's like an orange glow. If it's the Sprint one, it's a blue glow. So you can see their feet and you can kind of tell what they might interact with. That's cool.
Adding onto my to-do list when I play Landmark Combat the next time is to see what the cooldown is between swapping out trinkets.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Because I can see in a situation where it's like, okay, if there is like a small cooldown on them or a limited cooldown, then you can swap between your trinkets to whatever. Like, okay, I need to run fast. Throw on the messenger sandals, run fast.
True.
And then like I need to jump higher, so like, okay, I'm going to equip my double jump thing and then do the double jump. And I think that, it's one of those things that as players can give feedback on is like, okay, the cooldown isn't long enough. You might as well have all trinkets because you can use them whenever you need them.
Yeah, that's true. Just switch in and out. I mean, a trinket essentially would be like an extra ability. So like League of Legends or Smite, once you set those, you can't change them. So it's like, I'm set with these 2 for the match. You're right. It should probably have a longer cooldown because that's like your dodge ability. I'm theoretically crafting my fighter when I go into the match, and how I theoretically decide to do so should have an effect on the gameplay itself and the combat. Being able to change it on the fly, we were against that when it was weapons too. The cooldown seems a lot slower now, but still, being able to change it on the fly really changes things too much. It's kind of indirect combat. I don't have a lot of strategy between the players. I can't really look for the tells that quick because it just changes too much.
And real quickly, because I see that there's a conversation going on in chat. It's like we're kind of focusing on EverQuest or on Landmark PvP because that's what we have. That's what we can actually like. Oh, hey, I want to test this out. I can go and do it because there is no PvE, so I can't. We could talk about it, but it would all be in theory, and we can talk about EverQuest next, but it's all in theory. And so when we talk about PvP. That's because we can actually go and do it, and we can give the developers real feedback on that type of system.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's what maybe killing Landmark still a little bit, and PvP is yes, the combat system needs a lot of work. There needs to be more feedback elements, and there needs to be a lot more tweaking. I think just more depth in general, but there's no full game outside of it. So yes, the appearance slot's fine in a building game or whatever. But in combat, it's not really, and my movement is still different if whether I'm in combat on a PvP match or I'm out in the world and things like that. Like I said it before, I'll say it again. There needs to be consistency. When you're in Minecraft, you're playing Minecraft. It doesn't matter where you're building or whether you're fighting. It's still Minecraft. It's one consistent game. That's something that Landmark still it challenges it because it tries to be 2 separate games at the same time. So key bindings are an issue, movements an issue, everything about the game's an issue. Like, I'm a builder, I'm not so good at combat because I have been building forever. I'm not even going to play that part of the game. Like they separate they function too separately. They need to be more intertwined.
Well, that's what we're going to see, right? Is like you build this system, right, and then you build the next system, and then you build this next system, but you always have that underlying architecture that is designed to bring all of them together. And so we're seeing the individual individual ingredients, right? And so they really focused on the building tools until they got the building tools to where they thought that it was like, okay, this is good. Now let's move on to the next one. And of course, they're going to refine all of the ingredients as they go along. But PvP as it is, you're right, and it is hard to like gauge the rest of the game off of just that one little thing. But just give me a team and give me some more builder control tools, and I think that it could be, again, I think that Landmark PvP is going to be something big because you have like, you add in a third element to it, right? You have the two teams that are competing, and then you have the person who built that.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It could be like a make your own MOBA. Like, if they could really, they need to just snag one of the combat designers from Smite or from Guild Wars or something and just say, hey, come work for us. Because imagine the playability of Smite, but being able to change the levels on the fly and being able to build it on the fly. You're right, that could be an arena game on its own. Like, it really could be an MLG sort of deal if they put that much effort into it and made it really like that. But it has the potential, and hopefully they build it in to be that. I would love to see that. My friend makes fun of Landmark Combat right now. He's like, oh god, oh yeah, let me get my 3 weapons out. Let's play rock, paper, scissors. I'm like, just wait. Hopefully, just wait. I want to see tournaments going on where he ends up calling me years later and he's like, man, I just got into this whole thing and this looks great. I saw this tournament and it had a couple 100,000 people watching it. Like, the potential's there. It is.
Right.
They do it right.
And I see that there's this question, Flatus. I'm going to go ahead and answer it. But
Sure.
The question is, what new weapon would EverCast like to see next? And in my answer is, it's not a weapon. It's a shield.
Active blocking?
Well, I was thinking that so like it's a one-handed sword with a shield, right? So you keep the right click and the left click, and you get rid of the third activated ability, and you turn it into a damage reduction thing.
Yeah, a block.
Right, and so that now we're talking like, how long should somebody be able to last? Well, do they have that shield that they can like pop that ability on and make them just like nigh invulnerable for like another 10 seconds? That could be huge. So and we've already seen the concept art for it. So it's like, give it to me, give me the shield, want it.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. I agree.
All right, so what about you guys? What weapon would you like to see? The axe, spear?
I want to see more control. I know the mage is supposed to be control, but it's either, it's an instant stun or you're slowed to death. There's no real strategy in the utility-based combat, so I don't know if I want to see an overhaul to where there's just an ability added to the armor, if there's an ability added to the spells, but I want to see more strategy in actually guiding the battle. I'm going to place this mine here, or I'm going to place this here, and people are blocking it. I want to see that kind of combat, because I think that's something that's definitely missing.
That's an awesome idea. Like what would you call it? Like an engineer's backpack, right? So that you have mines that you start throwing out and little turrets that you could put out. So like you start limiting access to, you start controlling parts of the map simply because like people know like if we go over there, we'll start taking unnecessary damage. And so in the idea of avoiding damage, you avoid that part of the map. Tweeting it out right after the show.
No, that's cool. Dig says Smite is a MOBA. Landmark is not a MOBA. Yeah, of course. But right now, it seems to try to be. Because the only thing that I've seen in Landmark that is PvP-oriented is arena-based matches. And arena-based matches would be a MOBA, a multiplayer online battle arena. Maybe when I see open world PvP, that'll definitely change. But at the moment, it's literally like if I was loading up Quake, or if I was loading up Smite. I'm playing on a team in this match with limited rule sets, and it guides my interaction. So I would probably argue that Landmark PvP is sort of a MOBA. I mean, Landmark itself isn't a MOBA, but the PvP seems to try to be. And that's another thing, going back to all these separate games going on inside of Landmark. It's not persistent. I want a persistent experience. I think the whole game would be a lot more fun if it felt more persistent in the way you built things and the way you fought and everything like that. Make it feel like a real world. They're trying. But so far, that's the thing. See, that doesn't make it. That's like I want EverQuest next. Well, you don't have EverQuest next. You have Landmark.
EverQuest Next is going to have the persistent world. It's going to have the choices that matter.
Sure, but I can still see landmarks. Minecraft isn't an RPG. It's not. Yet it's a building game that has fighting, and it feels like the same game whether you're building or fighting. That's all I want. That's all I want. I want convenience. I want my buttons not to feel like they're going to change a lot, or if I walk into a PvP arena, automatically everything's just completely changed into a new game. I don't know.
That's true, and then that was what our last little bullet point. We wanted to talk about the key bindings because that was a pretty. We all, well, I don't know if we all agreed, but we agreed earlier, at least one other person, I forget who, that the key bindings need a little bit of work. Like you want the players to be able to log into the game and to be able to move around and use the keys to accomplish what their objectives are. And I think that the key bindings right now are still a little, they need to refine that a little bit, because I think a lot of people are going to have to, I have to go into the interface and set up the keys to work the way I want them to, because right now it just doesn't work for me at all.
Yeah, going on the whole two game things, another good point. PvP is being designed to work with PvE as well. But I still say if you're talking about creating PvP, the whole goal of EverQuest Next is PvP that feels like it's another human. So I'm going to use this example again because I still think it's the closest parallel to what we're saying. If I log into League of Legends or Smite, they have NPC bots that will fight me just like a player. So it's essentially taking a PvP game and making it a PvE game. And if it's possible in that game, why isn't it possible? I'm just saying that I'm not arguing that PvP should be made for PvP in Landmark. I think that it should be one combat system. I'm just saying that if they're trying to make the combat system that they're talking about constantly, then it should be deep and it should work on both levels. And right now it's not deep. Of course, you could argue, it's done yet, but
3 weapons.
3 weapons, yeah.
Well, at least now we have at least now we have 3 weapons, an armor slot or armor slots, and we have an activated ability on a trinket.
And the keyword system's coming in next week, which should make even more of a difference. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how the keyword system actually plays out and whether it's really like what they were talking about at EverQuest Next. Like, I can equip this and then change my abilities. We'll see. We'll see how that really affects things. That'll be interesting. I don't know. It is basic combat, and maybe I'm judging it too harshly. But at the same time, I'm starting not to like this whole open development thing. As a player, it's kind of making me mad. I'll go on record. There's been ups and there's been downs, and we've all felt it in this game. Oh, it's moving too slowly. Oh, there's a huge patch. Oh man, it really wasn't as big as I was hoping. It can be frustrating for players. I've even seen Zog. One minute he'll be like, "Oh, this building's great," and the next minute he'll just be like, "Man, what is this game? It's not anything I want it to be." And as players, we kind of have to sit there and we have to think: either do we want to play this game in this rough state, and do we want to keep making it better? Or do we want to just go play a game that does it better right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They told us from the get-go that they're letting the alpha go way earlier than they've ever done before on any of the games, right? So we knew that going into it, this wasn't just like an early alpha. It was an early alpha. And we've already seen that the feedback that we give them on how the game is playing, they're making those changes. We talked about it with the sword, right? We said, hey, destroying the voxels underneath me as I'm moving is counterproductive to being mobile with the sword. The charge. We said, hey, if I charge at somebody and I go through them, it defeats the purpose of charging to them to begin with. I need to be able to charge and stop, or I need to charge and push them. They made those changes. And so I think, you can be a little bit tired of the open development, and every time you log in to play the game, it feels like you're playing an unfinished game, but at the same time, it's that means that finishing part of the game that the SOE is working on, you can influence it. And I think that the builders, they talk all the time about how the style sheets, right? They say, hey, the builders already started working on building before we got the style sheet because they anticipated where it was heading. And on the workshop show, they were like, we realized that we didn't have the colors on this painting that they were working with in game, and we wanted to change that. So they changed the style sheet to match what you can make in game. I think that's all That's great. That's what we want to be able to have. That's like the first time I've been playing a game, and I feel like I've been able to have a conversation with the developers about like, these are the changes that I think would be neat or cool or in the best interest of the game type things, and they listen.
Yeah, and seeing some blowback over that, of course, in chat. A couple things. Oh, is development taking too long? Oh, would you rather not hear anything until the game comes out? No, of course not. But I think I'd like to have them tone down the rhetoric to where it doesn't blow up my expectations about the game and make my experience in gaming less.
So
like,
you would like
this grand game is going to be.
You would like them
one step at a time.
You would like them to manage your expectations instead of you managing your expectations.
No, I'd like both. I'd like, not to be promised NPCs and currency that should have been in months ago to make it a real kind of game and have some kind of meaningful player interaction, and then months later just get this half-assed combat system that has been thrown in there. Like, could they not have taken? It was pretty half-assed to begin.
No, I don't think so.
Let's throw it together into a system. I think they could have had more back-end time on that to make it more.
See, I don't think
this iteration of PvP should not have been the first iteration. Shouldn't we have already had armor, not just weapons?
No, I think that they should have had more. In my opinion, what they needed to spend more time on was not the weapons, not the armor, but more PvP rule sets available so that we could tweak and play around with different ideas. Because right now we still have just the three, right? Like deathmatch, team deathmatch, and capture the flag. Not capture the flag, control point, right? And I think that there's simple ways to get more out of those things. I'm trying to think of what we suggested. Like, I don't know. But
the queuing system would be nice.
Oh, there we go.
That would be fantastic. And I'll tell you why. I logged in earlier today, and it was pretty much a ghost town. And if there was a queuing system, the people that were on that wanted to play PvP, that would at least gotten me to go play PvP instead of having to fart around trying to figure out which. I even used the gallery to go to the most popular PvP spots. I was like, let me go there, because that's probably where people are at. Nobody's there. Chewy, it took you a half hour to get one extra person to play.
I was sitting there, we were spamming chat, it was the only active game on the server going, and yet no one was playing. And I saw a convenient little conversation in chat going, and they're arguing, well, Landmark's not a PvP game, so no one wants to play PvP. Yeah, that's the argument. No, Landmark PvP isn't there yet, and the people who really want to play it just aren't enjoying it, is what I feel is the real answer to that. A queuing system's a good first step, too.
Right, and being able to queue as a team is a big first step, too, because I think like right now...
But like Michael Flatley saying, he's like, if your game ever reaches a good place, no matter what kind of damage has been done, throw it on Twitch and it'll grow. See, I don't think Twitch should be used as a place to grow your game. If your game is solid, then it'll grow on its own merit without the use of Twitch. I mean, isn't that the point of creating a good game, is by standing on your own damn merit that the game is going to solidly rock and you want people to come actually eager to play your game? That's what you want. That's what every game company wants, is that you want your game to speak for itself and you want people to come and play it. If you're not having people play it, there's something wrong, and you need to rectify that quickly.
IGN's giving away 10,000 keys. MMORPG's giving away 10,000 keys. I'm not saying any of these people actually play the game. At least whenever I log in, it doesn't seem like they're playing the game.
Well, so for one thing, I think that's because we're moving away from that. Like, when was the last time you ever played a game based on what you saw from IGN or MMORPG or whatever? I've never once gone to play a game based on those things.
There's still active discussions on those sites. Those sites are still very popular and get a lot of views. And it's a giveaway. It's not a review to buy a game. It's like, here's a free game.
Right, but I'm just talking about, like, we were saying, like, why does it need to be on Twitch? It's because that's where people go to see new games now.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. Yeah, it's like, oh, I can go look on Twitch, or you can go look on YouTube. But then that's a whole other can of worms I don't really want to open up either.
Well, that was my other thing.
People get paid. And then there's the thing: how do you know who's getting paid to play that game?
Oh God, not that kind of worms, please.
right, so let's go into chat a little bit. Dr. Bruce says, Landmark isn't even a real game right now. It's a testing ground full of players, and the devs drop everything to us in an alpha state and let us fix our problems for all. Yes, they do. That's definitely true. But at the same time, it is a game. They chose to make it a game. They chose to launch it as a game. Yes, an early access game, but still a game nonetheless. And so if you're going to put a game out there, even if you're still developing it, as a developer, you need to make sure it's fun. Like, absolutely, you need to manage expectations as a developer. Diggs put a point later on that Landmark was supposed to be just a combat game at the start, or just a building game, that combat would come after launch. That's great, if that's what it was. But they didn't manage expectations properly, and so people get frustrated. That's all it is. I'm not saying that this is a terrible choice of development. I think it's an amazing choice. I think it's the first step that they've taken to try and do this, and they're learning a lot as they go. My feedback would be that when you implement systems in the future, already kind of put in that extra mechanism that ties it into the game. Have it strongly built sort of at this stage as a fun game by itself, to where it feels like a persistent experience. There's something there. There's still no achievement system. That would be so easy to implement some achievements and code them in. Okay, now I at least have some kind of progression where I feel like I'm doing something in the game. It would be something to do. That's all I'm saying. Yes, it's cool to be able to build an alpha product. Yes, we are very, very lucky, I guess, to be able to share in this experience with the developers and to give our feedback. That's why we have this show, because we love to give our feedback. And we really love to see when it's implemented. I thought this combat change was amazing. I thought it was a huge step in the future, so I don't think I'm complaining at all. I'm just trying to critique it further, so the next iteration becomes even better. And I think we can critique the development choice itself to make it even better. So when they decide to do Crafting 2.0, they tie it in better with PvP, and they tie it better in with the other systems, and instead of just keeping on its own 2 feet. That's my argument, I guess.
Yeah, see, and I stopped looking at Landmark as a game. It's a toy. You log in, you play with some voxels, you build some stuff. It's kind of like playing with Legos, and then it has this PvP element, and it's so one system at a time, and it's all coming.
Yeah, I agree with Tamlin. I think it's a toy box. S-Style said, to be honest, did you play Minecraft when it first came out? Yep. I was one of the first people that spent like $5 when it went real early beta, when it was just like punching trees and stuff. So yes, I played through Minecraft in all systems, so I'm used to that already. But Minecraft shines in different places where Landmark doesn't, because where eventually Minecraft grew is with the modding community. People were allowed to mod that game. So you have different forms of Minecraft. You have Thaumcraft, you have the EverCast Complete Pack, you have tons and tons of different versions of Minecraft for one game. And so, that's where it grew.
And I still don't have Landmark, or still don't have Minecraft. I've never played it.
I can see you not liking vanilla Minecraft, Talon. I can see you finding a mod and going deep with that. Like maybe one of the like Machinecraft mods or something like that, where you have to program computers and build machinery and like oil rigs and stuff like that.
I've seen the computers that they've built. I understand, but I don't know.
Do you think they released things too early to us so far in Landmark?
No. Release them as they're ready.
Ready. See, I don't know. Diggs was saying that I'm arguing for feature lock, and I'm not. I'm not arguing for a complete product. I guess I'm just arguing for something that I can enjoy more, and maybe that's selfish of me as a gamer, but it's something that I paid $100 to play, and it's something that I want to enjoy. I'm not arguing for it to be ready. I'm not arguing for my feedback not to count, and I think it's awesome that my feedback can count. But at the same time, I don't think you should just throw features left and right just to I'd like to see more of a complete feature list. Well, okay, I'm not arguing for complete features. I'm arguing
I
for
think
things
what
that are better designed when they come out.
I think Chewy, what Chewy's trying to say, he's like, he doesn't want to see SOE just throw out a bunch of fishing lines to see what catches.
Exactly.
And then, like,
decision behind it, I guess. Have more of a goal that we can see.
Like, oh, this didn't work, so we'll get rid of it. Versus, oh, let's implement this, and and then if it actually get the feedback on it. Like, if you throw, I see what he's saying. Like, I don't want. I kind of agree with what he's saying. Like, I don't want them to just throw out a bunch of different things and just see like, well, all the players flock to this one thing, so we'll scrap the other thing. And that other thing could have grown into something really cool if they put some thought behind it and got some feedback on it. I can see what he's saying with that. So
for me, I'm not a developer. I'm not a developer, and I'm not trying to be a developer. I'm trying to be consumers, trying to enjoy playing the game. So I guess for me, it just goes back to managing expectations. Maybe they didn't do the best.
And real quick, S-Style said a big part of moddability of Landmark will come from Storybricks. When I talk about Minecraft and moddability, I'm actually talking about they're changing the full game. It's not. It stops being, oh, let's dig dirt and build. It starts becoming we have pipe systems and cart systems and full on things like that. Storybricks will add NPCs and like story little things you can build, but
yeah, that's my concern about adding in the AI and editing the AI is that it just doesn't, like, I want to see, like, when I see myself as building a world, it's never at the size of the plot. It's always on the size of a nation or a continent first. And like, I wish that I could edit the AI at that sort of level instead of the micro level. And
yeah,
Landmark will never be.
It's never going to be that big. So I don't like. I mean, that's where Minecraft is going to win over Landmark, unfortunately, because you're going to have you can do that on the giant continent level and make it work. It's unfortunate but true.
We're starting to go over time.
If you didn't want to be part of the dev process, then you shouldn't have bought the game at this point. That's a great argument. If you don't like things, why play them?
Yeah, like I said on
here,
I'll listen. I'll say what I said on Feature Rant, and I'll say the same thing. Like, if you want the game to get better, go out and tell them what's wrong. If you don't like it, ask for your money back. But just don't bitch about it. Just don't sit there and say, well, this is a piece of shit, I don't like it, this is the worst game.
Yeah.
Fuck, screw you, Sony. Just go be boisterous about, I made poop game. I don't like the poop game no more. And it's stupid. It's stupid Landmark, stupid game. I don't like it. It's stupid. Well, then ask for your money back and don't play the stupid game anymore. How about that? How you like them? You like apples? How you like them apples?
Exactly.
That's how.
And that's not what we're doing. If you think that's what we're doing, then I don't know if you're listening to it, but we're just giving feedback. We're giving criticism. That's what this show's about.
That guy over there.
I don't know. I'm gonna write up a nice long post that's eloquently written, so you guys can understand my point of view. Apparently, I think that maybe it's not enough communication on their end. Maybe it's not so much that the features aren't what I want in the beginning, but I'm not getting as much open transparency as I'd like. Dig said, oh, they probably had AI for months. Well, why haven't we seen that in work? Why haven't they been like, oh, here, oh man, look, this is a pathing problem we're working on? Or they're putting their product behind a shield, but then saying it's open development. They're not giving us access to the features that we could have access to. If it was truly open development, they'd give us a lot more at once, right? But at the same time, they're trying to play this game where they're releasing content almost like expansions. Like, oh, let's have a Halloween update.
No!
A Halloween update for the month? Was that necessary if you're truly trying to build an early release game? No. That's them... They're trailing a line between developing a game that's supposed to be fun to play and truly giving us a test ground. I think they need to be more consistent in how they message that, what it really is. You really think that the Halloween update was necessary? If they were really trying to make a testing ground for content for a new game, and that's all it was supposed to be, which is what a lot of people are arguing, why add jack-o'-lanterns?
It's because it's festive and they could sell them.
Exactly. It's about selling a game experience.
splitting the
I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of on point with that one. He's kind of on point.
I get it, but at the same time, it's like unless you go into their rooms and see who's coding what, who's building what, you have no idea how many people it took to build that prop.
Maybe they should be a little more transparent about their development process with us.
All we know is that there's not, from what I remember, there's not two separate teams. It's all one team working on EverQuest Next, and then they kind of like say, and from what Dave said like not this past, but the last like 2 weeks ago, is that a lot of the team is focused on EverQuest Next, and no offense to the people that like Landmark, but I kind of like that they're more focused on the other one than this one.
Yeah, and I
don't know.
I like what Legendary said. It's like Halloween isn't a holiday, it's a theme, and Christmas is kind of the same way. I expect to see an update too, because they're going to add that theme into the game,
because they're trying to get people to pay for things and make a game, so it should be a fun game. That's all I'm saying. Like, it is, you can't argue that they're not building a game. They added a cash shop, they're trying to sell it left and right, they're marketing it. It's a game. Yes, it's an early release.
Oh my god, a game development company is trying to make money? Are you kidding me? They're trying to attract players to play the game? Are you kidding me?
That's a crappy argument to make. They chose to make this a public-facing game early. They chose to try and make money doing it. So we have every right as consumers to be upset about things that we're upset about.
Well, we're like 5 minutes over.
I know. Wait. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Baby Candace said they claimed a while back they would absolutely not have Xmas props. I'm calling Xmas props. I guarantee. I'm calling Xmas props. I guarantee we'll see candy canes and gingerbread house walls and stuff like that. I guarantee we will see this.
All right, we only have 5 minutes left, so let's do our last final thoughts before we call it for the week.
What? You can't just end this conversation like that. I haven't even heard your point of view. All you've done is knock down other points of view. What is your point of view on how they're dealing with Landmark and how it's been released and how it's being consumed?
I don't have one because it doesn't matter to me.
Whatever, that's bull. That is
Chewy's poking the bear.
I'm sitting here and I am telling people my half thoughts because I want people to understand my opinion. You're knocking them down, but you can't even have an opinion.
My opinion is that I played Vanguard for like 2 years with no development, with no marketing, and nobody to play it with, and I hated what they did to that game. So whatever they have to do to get people to play the game, I don't care, because that's people to play the game with, and yeah, it's small potatoes to me. Like, fine, you want to give me early access and I can play around some things and I can tell you what I think is broken, what I think can be done better. Great.
I have something to say. I know we're so over, and I apologize, but I have to say this because I read it earlier to Cradle of Kitty and Sunglare yesterday. It's from the producer from Final Fantasy XIV, Yoshida. He wrote, like, somebody had asked him, he's like, why do you feel that adding content so quickly is a good thing? He's like, because we don't have the luxury of other older MMOs like World of Warcraft, where people will wait a year for big content. We don't have that, and it's the same. Sony has to do the same damn thing with EverQuest Next and Landmark. If they want these to succeed, they're going to put little bits of content in as quickly as they can. Even as much as I agree that yes, they will try to get money from people because they need to survive a little bit. They need to make some money because these people are working for paychecks and money's not. I mean, these are in development, so they will make money where they can. You have to take and look, like, yes, if it's a little bit of if it's combat and it's an upgrade to combat, that's content that's coming into the game, and it's going to keep people in. But they have to, like, at the same time, they have to make that combat, or they have to make that content enjoyable, or put something new in. You can't, like, I fear for after, like, the Thanksgiving block, because we're only getting updates that help for, like, multi-threading and SLE and stuff like that. So we won't really see any content. We'll see just, like, quality of life, computer improvement stuff, and then after Thanksgiving, we'll see another content patch. So that little block of time is going to be dangerous, but I don't know. I think Sony really needs to look at how they're going to implement content for all their games. It's not just EverQuest Next. It's across the board. It's PlanetSide. It's any MMO company right now needs to look at frequent content patches and making sure that their players are happy. That's the only way your game's going to survive nowadays. So, you drop the ball on that, you're done.
Yeah. All I'm arguing is that it could possibly be done better. I'm not arguing that I know how it's done better. I'm just arguing that there's been a lot of mixed communication.
Hey, don't complain without saying you got a better process.
Fine. I will write something up. At least from the marketing point of view, that's something I can definitely write up about managing expectations.
Do it, yeah. And
as far as development goes, of course, I'm not a developer. I don't code. But no, I will totally. If you guys want me to, I will write up I'll make it 1,500 words, kind of standard little essay format, and you guys can read it. And I promise you'll see my point of view then.
Are we gonna do the ogre build or not?
And we're gonna do the ogre build. Absolutely, you're going down.
All right, challenge me. Challenge me with a written project. I can do homework. I can take this home.
Oh, jeez.
Well, then we should argue 1 point, and from 2 different sides. Because if
I'm not exactly sure. I even know what your point is. But point me to. We'll talk after the show. You point me in a direction where your argument is like what people are complaining about, what people are not understanding, and I'll read through it and say what I think about it. But I'm not marketing or developing. I can essays and stuff. I have a degree.
I was just critiquing so far what we've seen about their development in a talk show format. That's all it was. All right. That's all it was. It's the fact that I know pretty much none of us play this game at all. And yet we force ourselves to log in to see content for EverQuest Next because we want to see it for EverQuest Next. So why don't we like Landmark for what it is?
I missed it. I told you. I wanted to play it on last Friday when they were doing the Friday Night Fights, but I thought it was because the first time I competed in it, I think that it was on after Theory Forge, and so I expected it to stay that time.
I just think they need a better implementation of how to find these, or a queue system or something for thing. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's a good point. I think that's a good feature.
I mean, that'd be something at least if there's not a lot of people on, and at least if there's like 70 or 80 people on, or 30, at least if there 30 people are going in for combat, you can kind of find something to go do instead of waiting around like at some random arena for somebody to show up and be like, you want to play this one?
And then you run a few matches and then match your opinion of the combat system. Yeah, kind of sucks. Yeah. Well, all right. This has been the EverCast show, where we have argued random stuff.
That ended on a note.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's let it. You know what? I'm going to throw up the picture of the EverQuest Next armor again. We'll leave on that note because it's happy stuff. It's awesome.
It is happy stuff. It is very awesome. I'm glad that happened. Oh boy. Jeez.
Who's camping us out?
I'll camp us out. I'll camp us out. And our final thought is let's just, you know what? We're all gamers. Let's go have fun and play the games that make us happy. And support the games that you want to support. And that's all I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave on that note. So camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you next week, guys.